So for those of you who are just joining, welcome to Mobility Lab. It's Sunday, May 31st. My name's Lisa. I'll go ahead and start talking while others join. So welcome. If you're just joining, please do grab a yoga block or a pillow, a blanket. We won't need a strap or anything like that today. If you have a meditation cushion, always good to have that. So I'll go ahead and get started. So tomorrow starts a new month, and that means a new theme for Mobility Lab. And our theme this month is non-attachment. And so let's start by defining what we mean by non-attachment. Utilizing Pete Kirchner's definition, non-attachment is essentially process orientation as opposed to outcome orientation. So it's the attitude of being present to the process rather than being fixated on a future outcome. And an important thing to note is that taking an attitude of non-attachment requires acceptance of one of these fundamental paradoxes of mindfulness, that one can only really be fully committed to winning or achieving an outcome by recognizing that outcome is ultimately out of one's control. And that's a little hard to swallow. That really the only thing that we can control is our process, working on what we have at our disposal right here and right now. And this is a really interesting thing to be thinking about during this time of COVID, when we don't know what to expect moment to moment. We don't have the luxury of being attached to an outcome right now, because that outcome could change tomorrow or in an hour or whatever. Everything's constantly evolving. So it's actually a really good time to practice non-attachment. So another aspect of the attitude of non-attachment is the notion that the expectations that we set for ourselves through the stories that we tell ourselves have profound impacts on our performance. And how we explain what is happening, that internal narrative, that internal dialogue that we have, can dramatically influence what happens next. And so it can either serve to take us out of the present experience into some perceived future, desired future that may or may not actually arrive, or it can serve to ground us in the present experience. So Pete Kirchner refers to this as our performance story, and he encourages us to really endeavor to understand the ways that we narrate our experience, knowing that how we interpret our experience can really limit our ability to recover from missteps or can support resilience. It can either create possibilities or eliminate them, and dramatically reducing their chances of success. So a funny thing about being humans is that we cling to who we think we are. We think we are our bodies. We think we are our thoughts. We think we are our feelings, our relationships, our values, our work, all of these things that we think defines us, that we attach our identity to. We cling to our expectations of what is supposed to happen and how things are supposed to work. We tell ourselves stories of where we came from, where we're going, who we are, and we don't like it when those narratives are challenged. We get really defensive and really disturbed. It causes great discomfort, even suffering sometimes. So today I'll invite you to explore your performance story. What is your explanatory style? Do you lean towards optimism or pessimism? Can you trust the process of becoming rather than berate yourself or get knocked down by not being or achieving that thing that you desire to be or achieve, or that place that you hope to arrive at? Do you impose judgment, expectation, disappointment on your experience of what's happening right now? Or can you stay in curiosity, in faith, in yourself, and in your process of becoming? Can you notice when sensation becomes story, and instead choose to remain open to what the present experience has to teach us? And when you're faced with the urge to judge yourself or devolve into negative storytelling, the practice of mindfulness invites us to return again and again to the breath, to sensation, to curiosity, and to tenderness against that which so often serves to harden us from the truth of ourselves. So now let's translate this into athletic performance. So when you have a specific goal in mind, you devote all your attention to achieving this goal. You sacrifice eating your favorite foods, having your favorite cocktails, possibly attending social events, and so on and so forth. And it can get extremely stressful when we become so fixated on the goal that we can only see one narrow path to get there. And we forego our lives and the things that bring us joy and balance because we're so attached to a specific outcome. And instead, taking an attitude of non-attachment in relationship to these goals really releases you from forcing yourself into that narrow pathway and creates space for creativity and physical and mental healing if that's required, and stress reduction, most importantly. And this is not at all to discourage you or us from having goals, but it does introduce the idea of balanced effort along the path to achieving those goals, of introducing attentional flexibility amidst competitive stress, and really inviting us to focus on the process and not measure our worth or our success by our outcome, as counterintuitive as that may sound, or whether or not we hit those milestones or even achieve the desired result. And the paradox comes in when we realize that relaxing into this process of this process orientation actually reduces the stress and anxiety and disappointment in ways that serve to paradoxically increase our chances of success. So, with all of those many words said, let's meditate. So let's find our meditation posture. Find your cushion that you're going to sit on for meditation, or your block. Find an easy, upright seat. And a seat that allows your spine to be tall, so maybe a little extra height under the sits bones. Maybe your legs are crossed, maybe they're straight. Maybe you've got support behind your back, or maybe you're just sitting upright on your spine. But take just a moment to find your seat. And then sit up nice and tall. Lengthen the spine upward, as though you have a string coming up right through the top of your head. And then allow the eyes to close. So settling into an easy breath. When considering non-attachment, the breath can actually be a wonderful guide. Every released breath makes room for a new breath. And at some point, we must simply let go of the old to make room for the new. And each time we exhale consciously, each time we intentionally release into a posture, each time we return our attention to the breath, we're learning to be comfortable with letting go. Ideally, then, we're also learning to let go of what we no longer need, of what is not serving our ultimate outcome, in order to make space for the growth that matters the most to each of us. So let's bring some more awareness to the breath now. And I'll invite you to not judge the breath. Instead, notice its shape. Notice its length, its qualities, its depth, without trying to change it, allowing it to be just as it is. And at the end of your next inhale, hold your breath. So take an inhale and hold. And hold it as long as you can possibly hold it. think you can't hold it anymore, hold it for just a little longer. And now, before panic sets in, release the breath. Exhale. And as your breathing returns to its normal rhythm, notice what's different. Keeping the focus on the exhale. And now gently but mindfully, try to make each exhale a little longer than each inhale. Notice how letting go of the breath makes room for exactly what you need in that moment, which is another inhale. Notice how each breath offers the opportunity to release and begin again. And now call to mind a label that you use to identify yourself. Just one label. It might be the first thing you can think of. It might be the best way to describe you. It might be the only way to describe you. It might be the easiest way. It might even just be your name. Some label that you identify with, that you are attached to. And now, attach this label to your breath. On the inhale, say to yourself, I am, and fill in the blank with whatever that label is. And on your exhale, say to yourself, let her go. So on the inhale, I am that description of myself that I'm very attached to. And on the exhale, say to yourself, let her go. And breathe for a few cycles, repeating this mantra on the exhale. Let her go. Just take a couple minutes more to sit in this breath awareness, connecting that notion, that idea that you attach yourself to with the mantra, let her go. Now releasing your mantra. If your exhale is still longer than your inhale, see if you can even them out, coming into a one-to-one breathing pattern. And now with each inhale, say to yourself, simply I am. And on your exhale, say simply I am. Allowing yourself to be just as you are in this moment. Knowing that this allowing will create the ability to see clearly what is needed to take the next step on your journey towards whatever your goals are. And just breathe now in this gentle awareness of I am. Take a deep breath, sending the breath deep into your belly. Allow it to fill you up all the way to your chin. And now exhale, release the shoulders, drop the chin down to the neck, to the chest. Take another really big inhale, filling up from the bottom of the belly all the way up to the chin. Pause for a moment at the top of the inhale. And exhale, release, dropping the shoulders, dropping the chin to the chest. And once more, biggest breath of the morning that you've taken so far. Inhale deeply, sending the breath deep into the belly, all the way down to your seat, and allowing it to rise all the way up to your chin. Pausing at the top of the breath, holding, and then letting it go, dropping the chin, dropping the shoulders. Now the next inhale, allow the chin to rise, gently blink the eyes open. Remove the cushion or the block that you're sitting on. Set that off to the side. Now come to lie in a reclined position on your back. We're going to begin on our backs today, hugging our knees into our chest. Just give yourself a gentle rock side to side. Massaging the sacrum. Maybe you stir your pot a little bit, making little circles with the knees. One direction and then reverse the direction. And now extend the left leg long. Extend the left leg long, keeping the right knee tucked in towards the chest. Interlace the fingers right in front of that knee. And then draw the knee a little bit closer into the chest and maybe around to the side of the rib cage so that the knee is you're guiding the knee towards the right armpit. You may or may not ever get there, but again, we're just guiding. We're on this process of guiding into our posture. So using just enough effort to hold your knee in there, creating a little compression on the right side of the belly, extending the left leg long and feeling a lengthening of that left hip flexor as we do so. Make sure your pillow is handy because we're going to be moving through a sequence where we will need to grab the pillow. Just focusing on the breath here. Perhaps making the exhale slightly longer than the inhale throughout our practice today. In the spirit of letting go of the shoulds, letting go of the stories that constrain us, hold us back, that hold us in a narrow channel. Exhale, release the grip on the knee. And inhale, reach the right hand to the outside of the right foot. We're coming into half happy baby. So drawing the right knee down towards the earth, the right sole of the foot is pointed towards the sky. We're grabbing the outside of the right foot, if that is in your capacity today. If it's not, grab the right ankle or the right shin. If it's too much to keep the foot pointed directly up, you can drop the foot. So whatever variation works for your body today. Also, if it's too intense on the left side, you can always bring the sole of the left foot to the mat to release some of that pressure. As with all of our yin practice, we are searching for that point of the least effort possible. We're searching for deep release by creating postures that allow us to become passive. In that, holding that passive state, that openness, allows the release of those things that are not serving us anymore. It's the perfect training ground, really, for mindfulness, for non-attachment. So just breathe for a few more seconds right here in this half-happy baby. Take a deep, expansive breath into the chest, into the hips, into the belly. Feel the entire torso. And on the exhale, release the foot. Drawing that right knee into the chest. Grab your pillow now. Place the pillow on the left side of the body. Drawing that right knee into the chest, and then just allowing the right knee to cross the body. So rolling onto the left hip, we're coming into a supine twist. The right knee is crossing the body, resting perhaps on that pillow that you've set to the left side of your body. The right arm is reaching out to the right, and the gaze can fall over the right shoulder. Left hand can rest on top of the right knee. A moment to scan the body for sensation. Be present with the sensations that are coming up in your body. Those are your guides. Those are your teachers. Get to know them. Stay curious about them. And notice also when those sensations translate into some story about yourself, about what you should be doing, about what shape you should be taking, or whatever it is. Just notice. See if you can notice when the sensation becomes a story. Maybe for today, you can just witness it. Become practiced at witnessing when those stories begin. And maybe you can begin to let them go. Focusing on that extended exhale today. Seconds here. And on the next inhale, draw that right arm in. Continue to roll onto your left hip, keeping that right knee on the pillow that you've set to the left side of your body. And now we're going to roll all the way to our bellies, coming into a half frog position. So your right knee is resting on the pillow, which is now on the right side of your body. As you rest down onto your belly, I invite you to stack your palms one on top of the other and just rest your forehead down. Laying here in this really passive half frog. Gently opening the right hip. Perhaps you're creating some release in the low back. Notice what sensations are happening in your body. Allow them in. On the exhale today, lengthening the exhale so that it's longer than the inhale. Trying to identify what you can let go of. And now on the next inhale, gently lift the forehead off the hands. I'm going to extend the left arm out to a T. Place the right palm of the right next to the right shoulder. And then begin to roll onto the left hip, lifting the right knee and bringing the right foot behind you. So we're moving into one wing on the left side. Exhale slowly, and as you exhale, roll back to your belly. And then extending both legs. Now, stack the palms once more, rest the forehead down on the palms. Let it go. Maybe rock the hips side to side to encourage just some more gentle release of the low back and hips. Take a deep inhale, feel the compression on the belly, expand, and slowly exhale. Inhale, lift the forehead off the hands. Take a moment to move the pillow now over to the opposite side of your mat. And now we'll extend the right arm out, moving into one wing on the second side. Extend the right arm out to a T. Take the left palm of the hand right next to the left shoulder and begin to roll yourself onto your right hip now, bringing that left foot behind the right leg. The side of the right head rests on the mat. Any shoulder opener. Any little twist in the spine. And breathe. Expanding, creating space on the inhale. Melting slowly into that space on the exhale. And take a deep breath into the hips, into the spine. Release that exhale. Rolling back to your belly now. Draw the right arm in and find that pillow. Take the left knee to rest on the pillow. Again, once again in that really passive half frog. And then stacking palms once again, allow the forehead to rest down. So we are reversing the sequence on the second side now. So we moving through one wing. Now we're in half frog. Next we'll roll to that supine twist on the opposite side. But for now, just rest in this posture, in this breath, with these sensations. Letting it go. Letting go of any preconceived notions of what your body should feel like, what your body should look like. Trusting the journey with intention, with attention. Seconds here. Keep breathing. Take a deep breath into the belly, feeling the compression of the earth against the belly. Slowly exhale, and as you exhale, just beginning to roll onto your right side now. And then taking the shoulders down to the mat, the left knee is crossed over the body, resting on that pillow. The left arm is going to reach out to a T, and if it's in your capacity today to just take the gaze over the left shoulder, finding that supine twist. Exhale today. Scanning for sensation in the body. Noticing the patterns of thoughts. Giving witness to your stories. Inhale into the spine, to the low back. And then on the exhale, slowly roll to your back once again. Extending the right leg long. Draw the left knee into the chest, clasping the hands in front of the front side of that left knee. And then gently drawing that knee into the chest, in towards the armpit, perhaps. Once again, if that's too intense on the right hip, you can always bend the right knee and plant the sole of the foot on the mat, or extend it out, using just enough energy to create that compression on the left side of the abdomen with the left knee. And just neutralize the spine, drop the chin a little lower, tuck the shoulder blades up and underneath you. Find a single point of focus or allow the eyes to close and just settle into awareness of this shape, of these sensations. I got us a little bit out of order. We're going to reach for our left foot now, coming into our half happy baby. So reaching to grab the outside edge of that left foot and then lifting the left foot up as the left knee draws down towards the earth. The left heel reaches up towards the sky, creating a little bit of pressure on the hand drawing the knee, of the hand against the left foot, drawing the knee down to the earth. And again, if that is too intense, bending the right knee is an option. If you can't grab your foot, grab your ankle, grab your shin. If it's too much, you can allow the knee to bend. Allowing your shape to be what it is today. Embracing that another paradox of mindful practice, that in order to change, in order to achieve that next state, we have to accept the current state for what it is. Trusting the journey, trusting the process of becoming. Trying on a little faith in yourself, as hard as that is for many of us to do. Think here for about 30 to 45 more seconds. Just settle in, close the eyes or find that single point of focus and breathe. Perhaps allowing the exhale to be longer than the inhale today. Deep inhale into the belly, into the pelvic region. And exhale, release that left foot down. Reach the arms overhead. Get a full body stretch, reaching through fingertips, reaching through toes. And then exhale, release. We're going to roll now to our bellies. Or actually, we're going to move towards our tabletop position. So hands right underneath shoulders, knees right underneath hips. Find your neutral spine. And let's just take a few cat-cow breaths. So that means on the inhale, we lift our sits bones. Lift our gaze so that the chin is parallel with the earth. Drop the belly, soften the belly. And then on the exhale, we press through the earth, curl the spine upwards, navel to spine. Dropping the chin. Cycling through at your breath, your pace. Inhale, lift the gaze. And exhale, move into cat. Curl it up. Just take maybe 2 or 3 more rounds. Coming back to neutral spine. this is hard on your knees at all, if you're feeling discomfort underneath your knees, I encourage you to grab a blanket and just place a blanket under your knees as an option for a little more ease. In this posture, we'll be spending a little bit of time on our knees through this next sequence. So on an inhale, we'll just lift our right knee and begin to make some circles in one direction with that right knee. Maybe bringing the knee forward this time. Just take a few circles. Make them slow. Really feel into the sensation of the hip. And then reverse the direction, taking that knee backwards now. Maybe 3 to 5 rounds. And then on your next inhale, let's place that right foot out to the side. So I'll turn this way so you can see. We're placing that right foot out to the side, staying on our left knee. Now we're gonna lift the left hand threaded underneath the right. So moving into a variation of thread the needle, threading the left arm underneath the right, allowing the left shoulder and the left ear to come down to the mat, reaching the right arm forward. If it's in your capacity, you can see if your left hand can reach that right toe. If you can't, that's okay. You get the same benefit of the posture. If the leg extended is too intense, you can always bring it back in and just do regular thread the needle. I'm just giving you an option for a variation today. And breathe. A few more seconds here. Feeling the opening of the shoulder on the left side. Maybe there's a release of the low back. On the next inhale, draw the right hand back underneath the right shoulder. Press through the earth, coming back up to your tabletop position. Right leg is still extended. And then gently just draw that right knee back underneath you. So now we're back in our tabletop position. And as a transition pose, we're going to reach our hands forward, moving into puppy dog pose. So reaching the hands forward, keeping the hips stacked over the knees. Allow the forehead to rest down on the mat. Allow the belly to be soft. The spine is lengthening. The sits bones are lifted. And breathe. Take a deep inhale, expand through the chest. Take a slow exhale. And at the end of that exhale, begin to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, rising back up to your tabletop position. Moving into the variation of thread the needle on the second side now. Actually, first we're going to be doing those hip circles with our left side. So let's bring our left, raising our left knee, making some forward circles with that left hip. Maybe inhaling as the knee lifts, exhaling as the knee lowers. 3 to 5 circles. And now reverse the direction, circling that knee backwards. And on the next inhale, we'll take the left foot out to the side. So toes pointing forward, sole of the foot is planted. Right knee is still stacked underneath the right hip. Left hand is still stacked underneath the left shoulder. We're going to lift the right hand, thread it underneath the left, lowering the right ear and right shoulder to the mat, extending the left arm long. And once again, if it's in your capacity today, you can see if you can reach that right toe with your right finger, with your left toe with your right fingertips, as a variation of thread the needle. If it's not in your wheelhouse today, let it go. Just a suggestion, just a possibility, maybe something to work towards if you want. So just breathe here, feeling the twist in the spine, feeling the opening of the right shoulder blade. And breathe. Just a few more seconds here. What's happening in your body? What sensations are coming up? Are you struggling with story? Can you release the story? Stay with the sensation. Become curious about it. Endeavoring to become more curious than judgmental. On the next inhale, draw the left hand underneath the left shoulder. Press through the mat, bringing both hands down to the mat now. And gently draw the left knee underneath the hip. From this position, we're going to move into a lizard sequence. So inhale, bring the right foot forward. Once again, if you need some extra support under the knee, a blanket is a really good way to get that. So sort of inch the toes forward so that they come in front of the fingertips. And then just settle into that lizard lunge. So the right toes can point in whatever direction the knee is pointing, so that you're not getting torque on that knee. And if the knee wants to fall out and open a little bit, that's perfectly fine. So just staying in this lifted lizard to begin, spending about a minute upright, planting the palms, lengthening the spine, feeling the sensations in this stage of the posture. lengthening on the left hip flexor. For me, that is lighting up today. Just stay with that sensation. And now take a deep inhale. And on a really slow exhale, you can begin to descend towards the mat, taking the elbows down to the mat. If that isn't your capacity today, if you'd prefer to stay upright, stay upright. Again, allowing that knee to fall open if it needs to or wants to. Just stay here with sensation for about a minute more. Inhale, direct the breath towards that left hip flexor. And on a slow exhale, take the palms to the mat, rise up once again. Begin to shift the hips backwards. Keeping the right foot on the outside of the right hand, begin to extend that right leg. So we're coming into a wide-legged Ardha Hanuman or half split. Keeping the hips floating, hovering, not dropping all the way back to the heel. Just send the hips backwards. The right toes point towards the sky. Getting a stretch down the back side of the right leg and the inner right thigh. With tenderness. On the next inhale, begin to shift the hips slightly forward so that the hands are planted right underneath the shoulders, and then gently draw the right knee back. Now take the knees as wide as the mat, toes touch. Shift all the way back to child's pose now. Go. Just finding stillness here, releasing story, releasing any notion of what you should be doing right now. as you hold the posture, allow yourself to melt into it more and more the longer you hold it. Finding the softening that wasn't maybe there at first. Finding the subtleties of how you can let go further. A few more seconds here. Take a deep inhale, send it into the belly and relax. Expand on the inhale. And on a longer and slower than normal exhale, rise up. Shifting the knees so they're gently positioned right underneath the hips. We're going to move into that lizard sequence on the second side now. So inhale, bring the left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. And then just inch the toes forward so they're coming in front of the fingertips. And then gently lower the hips forward into your lunge. Keeping the hands planted, the palms planted at first. Keeping the spine nice and tall. I'm going to pause in this stage for 1 minute. And then fold into a lizard fold. For a low lizard rather, for another minute and a half. So feeling the sensation in the front side of the right hip, the outside of the left hip, maybe the groin on the left side. Just a reminder, allow those toes to point in whatever direction the knee is pointing so that you're not creating any undue strain on the knee joint. Just find your shape and then find some stillness in the shape. This is where you'd like to stay. You can stay here. If you'd like to fold into your low lizard, drop down to your forearms, either onto the mat or onto a block, or onto a pillow. Allowing that left knee to fall open if it needs to, but just deepening into the shape. Pausing here for 1 minute. Inhale, send that inhale to the hips. And a slower than usual exhale, take the palms to the mat, rise up. Very slowly begin to shift the hips backwards, keeping that left foot on the outside of the left hands, coming up onto the left heel as you extend the left leg. Left toes reach for the sky, hips hover as you send the hips backwards, lengthening the back side of the left leg, maybe the inner thigh. And just breathe. Ardha Hanuman. begin to shift the hips forward just a little bit, enough to take the hands right underneath the shoulders. Gently draw the left knee back. Take the knees wide, toes touch. Send the hips back. Find your child's pose once again. Deep inhale, send it to the low back. And slower than usual exhale, rise up once again. Now we're going to move to our backs. Coming to recline on our backs. Setting aside any props that we've been using. And just gently laying back to your spine. We'll do one final posture before we move to Shavasana. So moving into full happy baby now, we reach up to grab the outer edges of both feet. And maybe this is your shape today. If you're grabbing your ankles or your shins, just staying here with this posture. Otherwise, grab the outer edges of the feet. Bring both feet up to the sky. Both knees are drawing down to the mat. Neutralize the spine. And just breathe. Spending more time on the exhale than the inhale today. Letting go of expectation. Letting go of narrow focus on one outcome. Letting go of stories that don't serve us. Labels that limit us. Opening to the journey, the process of becoming. Take a deep inhale. Send that inhale into the pelvic bowl. And on a slower than usual exhale, release the feet down first and then extend the legs. Take up space. Take the feet wide. Take the arms wide. Really take up space today. Relax into your Shavasana. as you sit in your Shavasana today, let everything go in this moment. Let go of holding, let go of thinking, let go of doing. And just relax into the beingness of this moment. Allowing the body to take on a liquid quality, melting into the earth. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to be. And we're going to take much more time this month to explore ideas and practices around non-attachment. But as I leave you today, I invite you to contemplate something that Bruce Lee said about mastering not only movement, but mastering thoughts. He said, "You must be shapeless, formless, like water. When you pour water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water in a teacup, it becomes the teacup. And water can drip, and it can crash, and it can flow. And become like the water, my friend. To become like the water, when we release attachment to preconceived notions of our capacities, of our identity, it turns out that this flexibility allows us to go even farther, to transform our current state into something different. In yoga, this concept is called aparigraha, non-coveting, non-greed, letting go of the things we think define us, and the associated fear of losing those, so that we can become truly the best versions of ourselves. So be well, Fit Fam. Take some more time in Shavasana. Take some time this week to think about those stories that you identify with, the things that you think define you. And take some time this week to really take some long exhales. It's my pleasure to lead you through practice today. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you next week.